Hey everyone, welcome back to 20 Side Adventures. This week, Highhelm has dropped. So I'm going to take you through the PDF, show you some of the cool things that are in there and how it can improve your game. New options for all players, and especially if you are playing a dwarf, some fantastic new options there as well. All right, let's get right into it.
Oh, yes, the dwarves that go swimming with little hairy women.
All right, so here we are. We've got the Highhelm PDF. The first 40 or so pages are all backstory and lore for Highhelm and the Dwarves of Golarion. Definitely worth checking out if you are a game that runs in Golarion. I don't play in Golarion so much. Mine's all a home world, so a little less interested in that. I'm going to take you guys through the nuts and bolts and more of the mechanics things. And the first here on page 46 on the PDF is location types and support traits. So this is a fantastic rule. If you're a GM and you're running an urban game, you definitely need to include this. In your world building, it's another fantastic aspect you can add. And if you're a player already in a game, start asking your GM about these traits. So these are traits that you can bolt on to buildings, districts, and locations within your world that give you various boosts for interacting with them. For example, the Academy, a character who investigates for 1 hour in an Academy's library, can find a scholarly journal on a relevant subject to bolster their attempts at recall knowledge on this subject. So you get some boosts. I liked the bank. So the bank trait allows a character to use their contacts at a bank to earn income using the society check to make and manage investments, or by attempting a thievery check to embezzle or skim funds. Lots of cool, fun stuff like that. So be sure to check these out if you're a GM. And if you're a player, be sure to ask about them when you are visiting towns and around the game world. Page 59, we're going to jump down to some King's Crown options. So these are a little bit more of the noble and the higher end themed aspects of Dwarven society. So you get a background of Highborn Snoop, which basically lets you pick out all of the people that don't belong where they should belong. So they give the example of the person pouring your tea has callous sword hands, the hands of a fighter. Why are they pouring tea? So it gives you some boosts to that. You also will get courtly graces, and then you're trained in society, and you gain the guild lore skill. Some new equipment, fell arms. These are from Ash Engineers, which are explained further up. So you get the Ashen Rune, which will do some 1d4 persistent fire damage. New firearm here that is a blunderbuss that does negative energy damage. Furnace of Endings is a fun way to move scrolls and secret messages around as it burns through whatever goes into it and then reconstitutes it with the correct command so you can see the paper that has been destroyed. So really good for clandestine. It will also let you cast a spell from a scroll that you've put in it. Let's see here. Let's see, the Gray Prince. I forgot what this one was. Let's see. It's another negative energy damaging firearm. Scarlet Queen is a hammer gun. Once per day, you fire a blast of magically disruptive energy at an unattended magical object, and you can cast a 5th level dispel magic with a counteract bonus of 21. So it's a giant gun hammer that breaks magic. And then a Liar's Board, which is an intricate board game that has hidden compartments so you can sneak things around and hide things. Let's see. Next up, we're going to jump to page 73. All right, so here we go. King's Heart, Union Representative, because you've always wanted to be a Union Representative. You're going to get to boost into Charisma, train in Diplomacy, and you get Legal Lore. Then we got some skill feats. These are really fun with the legal lore. So Contract Negotiator. You can use your legal lore in place of diplomacy to make an impression or a request, even if there is no legal framework under which you are negotiating. Now, this is what I especially liked about this. If you're an expert in diplomacy, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to these checks. So, a lot of times, these skills replace a normal skill for doing this activity, and then that skill becomes really superfluous and no need to like, why would you have diplomacy anymore? Now it's your contract negotiator. But now, if you do continue to boost your diplomacy, it will help your contract negotiation using legal lore. So I kind of like that synergy aspect. I think that's really fun. Vicious critique. This is kind of another one of those. So you attempt a coercion check when you are purchasing or negotiating over an item. In addition, you roll a crafting check, and based on your crafting roll, you're going to boost your intimidation roll to coerce them into a better price, basically by pointing out all the flaws and problems in the item that they're selling. Cooperative crafting. So this from Pathfinder 1 is very similar. Two people can work together on a crafting object to speed it up and to help with the DC. Master of Apprentice is pretty cool. If there is someone else in your party that is crafting the same that you're crafting, so if you're a blacksmith and there's someone else who's a blacksmith and you're both doing earned income or you're both working on a project, in addition to your earned income check as a Master of an Apprentice, you can do an aid another to help boost theirs. A new spell, which is some fire damage. Skill feats. Let's see what's up your sleeve. So this gives you lets you use a gambling lore to try to find out when someone's cheating you at cards. And then we have some recipes for some strange dwarven foods that then also have some bonuses. Some cool artwork of it here in the city. All right, jumping to the next one, but we don't just watch me scrolling. So Stonebreach seems to be a little bit more of the rough and tumble aspect of Dwarven Society. So you get a Fightbreaker background, which is basically you're a bouncer, but it's how to break up fights before they get started. You get diplomacy and a lore for your city or settlement, and you get the group impression skill feat. Let's see. Bloodhammer Reserve is a very strange dwarven alcohol that polymorphs you into a random animal. So there could be some antics definitely with that. Blood Knuckles are a unarmed weapon. Well, they're wrapped so you can do your unarmed striking damage, and they have a magical aura to appear non-magical, and basically it lets you hide that you have. They're all kind of based around hiding that you have these on, and they allow you to cause bleed damage. Dark pepper powder is the predominant spice of Dwarven Society, but it turns out too much of it's a little too strong, so you can throw handfuls of it at people and cause flat-footed for 1 round on a failure of their save, and for 3 rounds on a critical failure. For some of you rogues out there, this could be a very fantastic item to just always have in your pocket. Grub gloves are a specific magic item to help manage these slimy grub creatures that dwarves farm in the deep. But most importantly, what they do, they give you a bonus to athletic checks, to grab an edge, and to just do things that involve gripping. And then once per day, you can regain 3d8 plus 10 hit points because they have a rejuvenating property. So that could be a pretty cool little magic item. The Unexceptional rune is very amusing. It is a rune to hide the magic of your magic items. So that's always amusing. Words of Wisdom are tattoos with inspiring words put upon them that you can activate to give yourself boosts at different for diplomacy. Very thematic. Could be fun. I wonder if you could have a negative aspect to it. That'd be some home brewing, but yeah, that's just some fun ideas that just sprung to mind on that one. All right, 109. Excuse me. Allergies are driving me nuts, and I don't want to have to retake this, so we're going on one take. So new feats, ancestry lore or clan lore in your ancestry feat. So based on what clan you're a part of, you get some bonuses to skills. I think this is really cool. I will have to homebrew all of this for my dwarven clans, but very much like the idea. Rivthun Disciple. These are folks who still worship the ancestors, so you get some feats that you draw upon your ancestors to boost your abilities there. Heritage, Forge Blessed Dwarf. So you have been blessed by your family's patron deity, and you get some bonuses there based on the deity. So basically, you get access to their first level cleric spells, regardless of your class. We have some new animals. So we have the Ogdunar, which is a type of mule that moves around the city. We've got riding goats. There's the riding goat there. Looks pretty epic. Draft lizards. So you can, lizards that pull stuff through the deep. Now, the most exciting part, the new archetype, Stalwart Defender. So if you want to be that, armored, tough, dwarven defender of the realm, this is the archetype for you. You don't have to be a dwarf. You could be trained in it, as it doesn't necessarily have the dwarf dedication. Does it have a prerequisite? Access. You are a dwarf. Nope. It does say you have to be a dwarf. I think that's always a little restricting. If you have a story that you were raised with dwarves and you were taught how to do this kind of stuff, I'd probably let you do it in my game. Prerequisite, you only have to be trained in light armor. It's kind of curious, isn't it? So the dedication gives you a stance that gives you temporary hit points equal to half of your level, and a +2 circumstance bonus to DCs against getting shoved and tripped. That's pretty cool. The downside is, regardless of your strength bonus, you have to take the negative effects of your armor check penalty and speed penalties. So it doesn't matter if you can wear that full plate, you now take the ACP and the movement penalties. Mountain Skin, you become trained in medium and heavy armor. Whenever your class feature grants you an expert or greater in any armor, it also grants it in these. So you can be a light armor class now and have full access to medium and heavy armor. So that can create a lot of interesting builds, I think. Tunnel Wall, this is a cool action. It raises shield with the added benefit of making it harder for people to tumble through you. So it's +4 to tumble through your space when you've raised your shield, and you still get the benefit of raised shield. Crushing Step, you ignore difficult terrain when wearing medium or heavy armor, so some of those movement penalties maybe are negated because compared to everyone else, you're moving through the difficult terrain. Gravel Guts, just a very dwarven thing. Rocks don't get sick. Why should you? Bonus to Fortitude save. Upset Balance is a pretty fun reaction. When you take damage, you get to push back into them and make them clumsy. So that's fun. Rupture Stomp. This basically lets you create difficult terrain around you by breaking up the earth. So not only are you not affected by difficult terrain, you can make it around you and slow other people down. This is a once per day, so you have to kind of use it sparingly. Some folks might be able to correct me on this. I haven't noticed too many once per days before this book. So is this kind of a new feature, or if I just missed it on other classes? Let me know in the comments. Unshaken in Iron, you know the precise limits of your armor. You gain the armor specialization effect of light armor if you are trained in medium and heavy, which hopefully you took that feat up above. You get it for those. And then while you're in your tenacious stance, you get a plus to your armor specialization effect equal to the penalties of your armor. So now incurring those penalties are kind of negated by the difficult terrain, and you're getting a boost for them. Gathering Moss is kind of a fun one. You once per day just sit very still as Moss and gain fast healing 1. So good way to just boost yourself up and save some resources. Cracked Mountain, you fight on, staying on your feet and lashing out at your foe. You avoid being knocked out and remain at 1 hit point, and your wounded condition increased by 1. So, like our orc friends. However, unlike once per day for them, once per hour.
Don't lay it down like this guy hard! Come on! Come on! He's no machine. I didn't hear no bell! Get up, you son of a bitch! Mickey loves you.
Go, Tommy! I didn't hear no bell!
So you can just keep going and going and going. Well, until you get to Wounded 3, I suppose. Stone Body. Emulating the defenders throughout Dwarven history, you close your mind to the sensation of pain. Becoming resolute, gain resistance 10 to all damage. Once per hour, and it's an action, so you have to preload it. So I think this would be a better reaction personally, but if you're in a very dangerous spot, you think you're about to get clobbered, use it. Bit of a gamble, once per hour. I like the concept, but I don't know if it's the best utilization of it. So moving on, some new gear. Ever air mask. So we have air masks for when we're down mining in the coal mines. I'm sorry, the adamant mines of the dwarves. We've got a drill, so you can, you know, get some drilling for some tunneling speed. Um, Stronghold plate. So this is a fortification bastion plate made entirely of stone. You get an envision interact, 3 actions. Armor explodes off of your body, expands and reshapes, transforming into a stone structure with the effects of Wall of Stone. While the armor is transformed in this way, you do not gain the benefits of wearing the armor. The armor remains transformed for up to 10 minutes or until you dismiss the effect. So, I guess if you need to make a wall and get away, boom, your armor can do it. The Highhelm War Shield. This is a really interesting shield. So as a reaction, it's got razor sharp discs and blades on it. I don't think there's a picture of it. I wish there was. And you basically stick it into your opponents when they're attacking you, and then they get all caught up and cut and trapped in the weapon because they're impaled on it. And yeah, they get grabbed from the spikes. You can't raise shield once you've done this, but kind of a cool reaction to horrifically trap your opponents. And then a really cool item, Keepstone. This is what happens when you mix adamantium and lead. I'm sure there is no side effects to that process of inhaling all those lead fumes. Basically, it has a lot of magic resistance to it. So any spell or magical effect targeting raw Keepstone must succeed a DC 5 flat check. When it gets made into armor and shields, you get a couple different benefits. So the armor is highlighted to be exceptionally rare, but the item bonus it provides to AC and saving throws is increased by 1 against spells, and divination spells targeting you must succeed a DC 5 flat check or fail. So if you want to be anti-magic, this is the armor for you. The Keepstone Shield, I think, is perhaps the best use of Keepstone, which is basically you get to use the shield block against any spell damage. So if you have a shield block reaction and you get blasted with a fireball, you can shield block it. Pretty cool. Keepstone weapons don't have a lot of focus as this is a very defensive armor, but it does let you, with the Sunder spell feat, gain a bonus to breaking magic with your hammer. Seems very dwarven. Forge relics. So these are so thematically dwarven, and I love them. Basically, it's a forge hammer that lets you modify things through a quick craft check. Really, it's by striking it, but the kind of idea is you work this ancient dwarven relic hammer upon the item and get some benefits. I don't think I'll go through all of them. Forge Weld lets you repair stuff. Work Harden is kind of cool. It's a temporary buff that gives you an AC bonus to the armor and increases the hardness of a shield. Allows you Elements of Creation lets you add elemental damage to things. Molten Crucible, it lets you change a weapon. So if your friend has a longsword and now they need a hammer, you just turn it into a hammer. All the magic and stats and buffs and everything stays the same. Just changes the weapon type. Living Forge lets you become an elemental form and embody the forge. So those are all really thematic and very cool. I like them a lot. Some legendary items. So probably won't be seen too much. The one that really stood out to me are these affinity stones, which I think they're pretty awesome. They are gifts between lovers. It's a story between a dwarven and an elven pair of lovers in lore, and these items let you know where your partner is, know about them. So it's the status spell, so you can make sure they're safe. But the cool things, non-dwarves gain the benefit of 1st or 5th level dwarven ancestry feats, assuming your partner is a dwarf wearing them. So in theory, if you wanted to use these outside of the primary setting, the partners get to swap ancestry feats, basically. You'll see up here that the other person gets access to non-dwarven ancestry feats, and then you gradually take on some physical characteristics of the counterpart. So in this, they explain the elf starts to grow a bit of a beard, and the dwarf gets some pointy ears. But basically, each partner gets access to each other's ancestry feats at those levels. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then we get into the deities here, which are setting specific. And then just some of the animals. We already kind of touched on a couple of them that Highhelm has, but now you're going to get some details on the Ogdunar. So those mule guys that are moving all over the place, full stats, things that you can do for them. They have powerful back kick, which is kind of amusing. Here's the draft lizards, all the stats you need for them. Some monsters, some monsters. This is a demon swarm. Looks terrible. 250 HP, so this guy's pretty nasty. Bunch of different attacks. The Grand Defender, so this is a huge dwarven construct that's defending the deep. Pretty cool. An aberration from the deep that looks horrific. I love aberrations. I did a dwarf campaign about a year ago, and they're some of my favorite monsters, so always nice to see more of those. Pagulin, so Pagulin. Yeah, let me know how that's supposed to be said in the comments. Monster Lizard, and then yeah, that's the end of Highhelm. So, fantastic book. I think if you want to be a dwarf, you want to run a dwarf campaign, you want some cool new items, it's a fantastic book, well worth the purchase. If you play in Galarian, the details for the Dwarven Ancestries and their backstory is phenomenal. If you do homebrew settings and you want just some more Dwarven flavored items and ideas, fantastic book. Highly would recommend. All right, guys, that is Highhelm. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would love a like and subscribe. Trying to grow the channel as well as getting some work done on my homebrew world, making some of those items accessible. Going to be toying with some new homebrew content that will be released for general Pathfinder play. So keep an eye out for that in the future. And we'll see you next time on 20 Side Adventures.